Right, hello and welcome to this week's angling vlog. This week you join me on the banks of the river and we're in search of pike. Before we get into this week's vlog, I just want to wish all you lads out there that are pikers and do fish through the pike season all the best, lads. I hope you have a good season and there is that big girl waiting out there for you during the season. For me today, it marks the first session of the season and we're out in search of pike. Typically, as we arrived at the venue, it started to rain. So the first thing I've done, as you've seen at the start of the video, is get the shelter up and get comfortable on the bank. So when I am pike fishing, I do like to get out on the bank just on dark into first light. On some rivers that you fish, the bait fish and the silver fish will only top in that first half an hour of the day. And at the start of the season, it isn't as important as the fish tend to be more spread out. But as you move into the colder months, as the shoals of bait fish become more condensed, so being near them fish becomes more important. The pike, as it gets colder, won't be too far away from them. So as a rule, when I go piking, I always do like to be on the bank just at half an hour before light, just to get an idea where them silvers are topping. So I'm sat in the shelter at the moment and the rain is drizzling, and boy do our rivers need it. The rivers that I fish, like the River Dane, the River Severn and the River Ribble, are all dreadfully low, and recent sessions on them have been difficult. A lot of minnows in the river and a lot of weed. So hopefully this rain marks the start of a good bit of a downpour and all our rivers get a good flush through for the start of the pike season. Back to the session today. When I did arrive, there was a couple of fish topping on that inside line. So as you can see on screen now, I've put a smelt on that inside line. A smelt is a bait that is nice and visual. With the river being clear, I want that flutter of a bait coming through the water. It's a bait that I have ultimate confidence in, and the old question, if you only had one pike bait, what would it be? Most definitely would be a smelt. On the other rod, I've put a skimmer, and I do like to have a mix in my bait. I like to have one that's a bit natural to the fish that are in the venue. The pike that live in this venue will be used to coming across skimmers as natural food and also as dead food. So hopefully that nice palm-sized skimmer will be sniffed out by Mr. Pike and we can get one on the bank. So that's the rods out, and with piking, all that remains to do now is hope that there's a pike in the area and you get that first run of the season. We've only got a morning this morning, it's a Sunday morning, got to be back home for around about 1 o'clock. So fingers crossed we can just get one pike. Today is all about just trying to get one pike on the bank. So I'm going to sit back, enjoy this beautiful, peaceful morning and just look at that float rod bobbing in the current. So one thing that is really apparent as you sit here looking at the pike float and waiting for a run is change is most definitely happening. You can see there just how the vegetation is beginning to die back. Them greens are being replaced by browns, you can see in the trees, and it has got that autumnal feel about it today. And that is what I love about nature. You know, you can have Indian summers or warm end of summers, but nature just carries on, and nature knows that change is needed. And I do love being an all year round angler and just sitting and admiring the different facets of nature as you go through the year, whether that is the first frosts or the green of spring. It's just beautiful to be by the bank, and for me the browns appearing is just as nice as the greens appearing in spring. So as you've just seen there, it hasn't taken too long for that rod to go off. Not the biggest pike in the world, it don't feel like, but you can't beat that noise of that alarm going. And the first run of the season, let's get him in and take a look. So there we go, there's that pike, and he's taken a whole skimmer. It didn't take too long. The rod was in the water probably 15 minutes, and as you saw there, the alarm screamed off. It's a beautiful, beautiful little pike. So with the bait box open, let's have a look at the baits that we've got. I would normally do an online order off one of the websites, and I'll put a link in the description below to the two that I normally use, but just a quick opportunistic session, this one, to start the season. Went with bait that I have confidence in. Got a pack of the skimmers and a pack of the smelt, and I've just got 2 packs of each. And if we get through all of them, we'll have had a good morning, won't we? But that just shows the confidence that I have in them 2 baits. Really do have confidence on the rivers, in a skimmer and a smelt. Let's get the rod back out there on the skimmer, because he ate a whole one of them. And let's get it back out there. So for those that are new to piking and want to have a go, that is how you hook your dead baits on. 1 treble with the point on through the tail, and 1 halfway down the bait. Semi-barb traces, so the barb point goes in the bait and your barbless ones on the outside. There's plenty of videos on the channel, and I'll put a link to the top of the screen now to one of the playlists of a full year's piking. But as we go through the season, we'll discuss the rigs, and I'll put the GoPro on my head and show you how to unhook the pike and stuff like that. That is what this channel is all about, trying to break those boundaries that exist in types of fishing like piking, where people are a bit nervous of trying it, and passing on them hints and tips. So hopefully this is the first of many pike sessions this winter, and the first pike of hopefully a good season. The rod's back out, and hopefully they go again. The target was 1 pike, wasn't it? So we've got to be happy. But I've said it before, you can't beat the buzz of a pike run. You know it's a dead bait on the bottom, you know it can't move, everything's tight up to it, and then they come alive. The alarm starts screaming off like you've seen, or the float starts moving along the top and sinking away slowly. Both of them are addictive, and you just want to keep coming back and seeing it happen time and time again. And hopefully that won't be the last time them rods go again today. So just picking up on that point that I made this morning about arriving at first light. If you look at the water now, there's no fish moving at all. None of them silvers are topping. And if you arrived on the water right now about 8:15, 8:30 in the morning, you know, it'd be a lot harder to locate those silvers, wouldn't it? Whereas when we got here in the dark, we could see and hear the fish topping, so we set up here. And that just kind of illustrates the point about arriving in dark. You get to see where them bait fish are. So 9:15, and definitely bite time from what I found on this river. And the rod went on the ledger again, and just holding the line, you know, feeling the bite before setting the hooks, and it all went slack. And definitely felt like a jack, because it was tugging at the bait all the time, and it's pulled the bait from the line. It's one of them things that happens. Let's get the bait back on and get it back out there. So we're coming towards the end of the session now, and I'll quickly just go over the hardware that I'm using. It's the Corum Snapper Cult Rod, a dead bait rod from Corum. I've teamed that up with the 6000 Zelos reels, and on there I've got 60-pound Esox piker braid. That is the hardware that I'm using on both rods, nice and strong and robust. So most of the gear packed away, and the dead bait rod on the ledge is just pulled off. You can see there the line just pulling off. So fingers crossed we can end the session with a pike. So always good to end the session on a fish. To you lads heading out, I hope you have a fantastic season. Tight lines in your own fishing, and I'll catch us all next week.